Today's news conference is about Wildfire Awareness Week 2017. We're going to begin with our speakers who are standing behind me. After that, we're going to go into a Q&A or question and answer period, which will be facilitated by the Director of CAL FIRE, Chief Ken Pimlott. After that, we'll have a one-on-one time for interviews. With that, I'd like to welcome and introduce CAL FIRE Fresno Kings Unit Chief, Mark Johnson.
Thank you. Good morning for joining us here for the in the Fresno Kings Unit for Wildfire Awareness Week 2017. First of all, I'd like to introduce some of the folks we have with us today. We have Jenna Welch from Senator Barry Hill's office, Brett Rush from Supervisor Magzig's office, Denny Boyles, PG&E is here, Ed Smith, the Nature Conservancy, John Goss, the Fire Management Officer for the Sierra National Forest, Dean Gould, the Forest Supervisor is here also, and behind me is Tom Porter, Southern Region Chief for CAL FIRE, Craig Tolmie, the Assistant Region Chief for CAL FIRE, and Dave Teeter, Deputy Director of Fire Protection, along with the Director of CAL FIRE. Over the last few months, we have had quite a significant amount of rainfall in the area, but by no means has that alleviated the problems that we're facing here in the Central Sierras. Where we're standing today is a fuel break that CAL FIRE Resources, along with contractors, are working and putting into place. And even though we have had the good amount of rainfall, we have had significant fires here in Fresno County. We've reached close to 7,000 burned acres already this year in Fresno County because of the excessive grass crop that we have now in the county that has dried particularly early at the lower elevations. This fuel break and the other fuel breaks around here that we've worked on throughout the winter, we have approximately 13,000 plus man hours, personnel hours working on those fuel breaks this winter. And we've treated about a little over 700 acres throughout the winter. The Shaver South project that we're standing on today has a public and private partnership between the Forest Service, CAL FIRE, private industry, and of course the homeowners that are affected up here in this area. We're doing other fuel breaks under the Good Neighbor Widen Authority on the Acorn Sugarloaf roads in direct partnership with the U.S. Forest Service, where we cross over each other's boundaries and continuing the good work that needs to be done up here. So even though we're doing all this work, we still face a significant wildfire threat moving forward into the summertime. And in preparation for that, over the last 2 weeks, we've been doing preparedness exercises with our local cooperators from all the cities in Fresno County, in conjunction with CAL FIRE, OES, and our federal partners in the footprint of what was last year's Goose Fire that burned over 2,000 acres in Prather. We're continuing those exercises today throughout this week, and we'll get some of our local cooperators some good training going forward. With that, I would like to turn it over to the next speaker, Bruce Saito from the California Conservation Corps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Good morning. The severity of the threat wildfire, as you heard from the previous speaker and the speakers to follow me, is daily on not only the minds of the good folks that are gathered here today, but also on the minds of the California Conservation Corps crews. We have crews working up and down the state to reduce heavy fuel and hazardous fuel loads that can lead to wildfires and allow them to become even more dangerous and uncontrollable. Additionally, the California Conservation Corps has 7 Type 1 firefighting crews working in partnership with CAL FIRE out of our Camarillo, Butte Fire Center, and soon-to-be Auburn Center in Northern California. And in addition, we have partnerships with the United States Forest Service at 3 of our sites providing Type 2 firefighting crews. Since last March, we have cleared dead trees, heavy fuel loads, and underbrush from hundreds of acres of wildland in the Lake Tahoe area, Shasta, and the Trinity Forest at Bernie Falls, in the Santa Cruz and Coastal Mountains, in Central Sierra outside of right here in Fresno, and in Bakersfield in San Gabriel Mountains in Southern California, just to name a few of the districts and the areas that we worked at. That's added up to nearly 1,000 acres of in this past year of more than 750 football fields of brush that have been cut down and hauled away by California Conservation Corps crews. Our motto is hard work, low pay, miserable conditions, and more. There is no doubt that there's plenty of this hard work, not just now, but in the many, many months to come. And our Corps members are there and ready to do that work. It is low pay, so they're not here to do the work just for the pay because it's low and it's not very high. Their hearts are in tune in protecting the California's environment and responding to natural and man-made disasters. It's what we do, even when the conditions are downright miserable. In fact, there's one Corps member, some of you heard this yesterday, but Shelley Cherry, a young man straight out of Southern California urban neighborhoods, told me that while working on a fuel reduction project in the Tahoe region, he said it was really difficult and challenging to lift those 50-pound logs every day in and out, just like Stanton did when he was a youngster I don't know if working out of the Angeles Forest, but we all know, and I'm sure all the folks here know, that it's not easy work. But Shelton did it because he loved it, and because it's taught him how to be a conservationist. It's taught him respect for the forest and our natural resources, and it's taught him to become a leader in his community and on his crew. I share Shelton's story because I think it really typifies or exemplifies the attitude of the young folks of the California Conservation Corps and the dedication they bring to work each and every day. So throughout the rest of the summer, we will be on the front lines, reducing potential wildfire risk. And when the fires do happen, we will be there working side by side with CAL FIRE and United States Forest Service crews to protect our land and properties. Next, I'd like to bring up from the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, Brittany Kovich.
Thank you, Bruce. Good morning. My name is Brittany Kovich. I'm with the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, a state agency that serves the 25 million acre region of the Sierra Nevada. This region is really critical to California because it's the water supply for more than 60, it's the source of the water for more than 60% of our developed water supply. Millions of people come to the Sierra Nevada region to recreate, and our Sierra forests are really a key player in managing our climate. Healthy forests are essential for maintaining all of those benefits, and while fire is a natural and essential process in the Sierra Nevada region, because many of our forests are overcrowded and unhealthy, the fires that we've been experiencing lately are not natural, and they oftentimes do more damage than good. The effects of these unhealthy forests are most strongly felt where tree mortality is at its highest or where these large damaging wildfires occur. But the impacts of these large damaging wildfires are really felt across the state of California. For example, the Rim Fire released more emissions in just a couple of weeks than the city of San Francisco releases in an entire year. And at the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, we've estimated that the amount of live tree carbon that has transitioned to the dead pool just in 2016 due to tree mortality is equal to the emissions from 11 million cars. So restoring forest health is really key to kind of maintaining the benefits and protecting the benefits that the Sierra Nevada region provides. We at the Sierra Nevada Conservancy are actively engaged in restoring forest health through the Sierra Nevada Watershed Improvement Program. And many of the partners that are here today are also very committed to increasing the pace and scale of restoration to protect our forests and protect our communities and protect our water supply from the negative impacts of large damaging wildfires. Despite the good winter that we just had, our forests will dry out, and the threat for another mega fire is real. And we have to use all of the tools in our toolbox in order to restore our forests and make sure that they are resilient for the long term. Some of those tools in our toolbox include the proactive use of fire, using fire to reduce fuel so that we don't have as many catastrophic fires or large damaging fires on our landscape. We also need to use mechanical thinning where it's appropriate to reduce the amount of fuel that's on the landscape available to burn. Everybody in California benefits from the resources that come from the Sierra Nevada region, and everybody will be impacted by large damaging wildfires when they happen here. So we all have to do our part to reduce the threat of large damaging wildfires and restore forest health and support the efforts of those that are working very hard to move our forests towards a more resilient path. Thank you. With that, I would like to introduce Chris Scow with the United States Forest Service.
Did I break it? Is it okay? Thank you, Brittany. Appreciate it. Again, my name is Chris Scow. I'm the Acting Director for Fire and Aviation for the U.S. Forest Service here in California. I'd like to start today. It's tremendous to be back in the Central Sierra region. I spent a good part of my career on the next forest north on the Stanislaus. I was the forest FMO there. Thank you, Brittany, for mentioning the rimfire again. Appreciate that. It is a reminder, though. It reminds me, and it makes me think about what we're doing in California to mitigate the impacts of wildfire to the citizens. So, as acting director, I represent 18 forests throughout California, ranging from way up on the Klamath in Northern California, down here through the Central Sierra, and all the way down into Southern California to the Cleveland down there on the Mexican border. Those forests provide for Californians a wide variety of things Californians value. As Brittany mentioned, water. Californians expect water from their national forests, and we are a giant sponge here in the Sierra that releases water over the course of the summer into the reservoirs to provide irrigation water and drinking water to a lot of California. But we also provide a lot of recreation opportunities here at Shaver Lake. We also provide wood products. We provide forage, a variety of things that Californians value. In order to supply those in a steady manner, we need to manage fire in a responsible way. To do that, we work with our partners, most of who are represented today and throughout the state, on a three-tiered strategy to mitigate the impacts of wildfire and to continue to provide those values to the people. The first part of our strategy is a safe and effective response. And I'd emphasize the safe part. All our agencies that fight fire place a great deal of value on the safety of our firefighters. So all our strategies often center around how we can do it safely and how we can ensure all our firefighters, all the people you see lined up behind us, how we bring those home every day after every shift. The other part of the effective strategy is bringing the right resources to bear on the fires in order to contain them, control them, and eventually put them out. To that end, the Forest Service in California brings about 5,000 firefighters. We have smoke jumpers up and ready. We have hot shot crews. We have 46, 47 hot shot crews scattered throughout the state. Kings River hot shot crew is here with us today. We have 272 engines, heli-attack crews, retardant planes, air attack platforms, rappelling crews here on the Sierra. Again, about 5,000 firefighters to mitigate those effects. The second part of our strategy includes restoring resilient landscapes. And some of the speakers talked about that today. We work a great deal on restoring California's forests back to what they were when they could handle fire in a resilient manner, when the effects of fire wouldn't be as devastating as we're seeing today. The third part of our strategy is collaborating with fire-adapted communities. So right here around Shaver Lake, we're seeing a lot of evidence of how that collaboration works. We work with the state and local government agencies to create fuel breaks. We do other defensible space measures around communities. And we also expect homeowners and private property owners to maintain their property in a responsible manner and provide defensible space. That ties right back to a safe firefighting environment. For our firefighters to protect your property, they need a safe environment to do it in. Defensible space and good fuel treatments provide that safe environment to protect property. So again, to wrap up, a three-tiered strategy to mitigating the impacts of wildfire. A safe, effective response, restoring resilient landscapes, and collaboratively working with fire-adapted communities. In California, everyone has to deal with firefighting. Everyone's got to deal with the fire thing. We're all in it together. And I think events like this give a good demonstration of everybody working together to mitigate the impacts of wildfire. With that, we'll turn it over to Chief Pimlott to wrap things up. Chief?
Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
Well, good morning. Ken Pimlott, Director for CAL FIRE. And again, thank you for taking the time, although it's not too hard, to want to come out here and spend the morning. But we really appreciate the opportunity to once again this year during Wildfire Awareness Week to discuss the fire challenges and what we're doing and what we need the public to do here in California. We've spent this week literally traveling from Siskiyou and Humboldt County south and working our way into Southern California tomorrow. And the message is the same and very clear and very simple statewide. Number one, it's the integrated, multi-agency, multi-organization approach to not only the fire response in California, but the mitigation and the preparation work that is so critical. So it's a seamless set of agencies and organizations, including the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, our utility partners at Southern California Edison and PG&E, all the fire safe councils, and so many others that work every day to take care of the fire issues in California. This year, again, my responsibility is looking statewide to, one, ensure that we're prepared and bringing the resources to bear to address the challenges that we're facing. And no different than previous years, California is well prepared. We've brought firefighters on early to engage in being trained and ready to respond. The difference this year is that these firefighters are not only prepared to respond to fires, but they're also out working on projects just like this one here in Fresno County. We are actively working on fuels treatment projects, fuel breaks, prescribed burning, other projects to reduce the intensity of fires should they occur in these communities. I've challenged CAL FIRE to significantly increase the pace and scale of the work we're doing in fire prevention and fuels treatment around the state. I am very proud of the men and women in our Fresno Kings unit here who have really set the bar for the state in terms of the amount of acres and the work they're doing to address this fuel problem and this fire problem. But there's certainly no shortage of work to be done, as you can see here. So we're going to continue to work. I'm excited because just within the last few hours, Governor Brown has released his May revision budget proposal, which will now go before the legislature through the final budget process and for final adoption of a state budget here in the next several months. The governor has again shown his support and recognition of the challenges that we face from 5 years of drought. The last several months of significant rain and precipitation hasn't changed the fact that we have over 100 million trees that have succumbed to the epidemic levels of bark beetle attack. We've got vegetation that once it dries out will continue to be an explosive fuel loading for the state. The governor has again and continues to recognize that. So CAL FIRE's budget for this fall will continue to recognize an augmentation to allow us to continue working on these kinds of projects like we have right here, to provide us the firefighting resources into the fall months for a protracted fire season. And then on a permanent basis, the governor has added funding into CAL FIRE's budget for the permanent staffing of fire engines year-round around the state, as well as providing funding for a longer fire season. We've talked about this every year. In many areas of the state, it's now a year-round fire season. And fire season is longer on average all over the West. So again, significant support for the resources not only to respond to the fires, but to engage in the project activities and support all of our partners like we see here today. But it's not just about the public agencies and the utilities and our friends at the Sierra Nevada Conservancy and others to do the work. We have an expectation for the public to do your part as well. Again, it's being ready for wildfire. All of the things that we ask folks to do every year in preparing your properties to be ready for fire. It's not just the defensible space, which is critical, but it's also preparing your evacuation plans, identifying those things that you're going to take with you, so when a fire does occur, you can be ready and be able to leave safely and orderly. I'm excited this year that we have a new tool in the toolbox for the public. It's a Ready for Wildfire application. It can be downloaded free to any Apple or Android-based phone. We've had over 19,000 individuals download the application to date here just within the last month or so, and we're very excited. Not only will it allow an individual homeowner to rate your home in terms of defensibility and walk you through the steps you need to do to bring it to 100% compliance. It also provides real-time and updated videos on current information and topics that are relevant to helping you prepare your evacuation planning and other elements. And most importantly, on a real-time basis, it will provide you with real-time fire updates, not only within your community, or it can also provide you updates in other areas of the state should you select that. So it's a great tool. We're very excited that it's out here. Obviously, we want to significantly increase the number of downloads or folks downloading that app, because it is going to be critical for providing key information to everyone around the state. So despite rain and snow, I want to remind everybody we are still in fire conditions in California. To date, this year, we have over 8,000 acres have burned in fires around California, particularly down in our lower elevations where we have a record amount of annual grasses. That grass is drying out rapidly. Just here in Fresno County yesterday, we had a fire that burned several hundred acres down in the lower areas of the county. That's occurring in areas statewide as things dry out, and it's only a matter of time before communities up here near Shaver Lake and other areas of the Sierra become critically dry as well. So again, our message is be fire safe, pay attention to our messages, and go to readyforwildfire.org to get all of the information that you need. So with that, my partners and I would like to invite any questions that you might wish to ask.